Hey, good morning. You know, this was really a tragedy for the entire nation. Our hearts went out to the crew members and their families. Their families were actually here to see this whole thing unfold. Joining me now is June Scobee Rogers. As you said before, her husband was the commander on that particular mission. Take us back to that day. What do you remember?
Well, the first thing that morning, we were all overjoyed, so excited because they were going to launch. Beautiful cobalt blue sky, but cold. We gathered at the top of Mission Control Center, all huddled together, wrapped in our coats to watch that launch. And we cheered. It was so exciting. But then the unthinkable happened, and it was just numb. We were frozen. In shock, and it was a while before we learned that no one survived.
You had your family here, including your son, who is now a general, and Mom pulled the pulled rank on him before and said you were going to do this TV interview. So thank you, Mr. Rich, for doing it. Come on over here. You were what age when this happened?
Ken, I was 21 at the time, a senior at the Air Force Academy.
And what ran through your mind?
You know, I'd been very fortunate. My family had introduced me to a lot of things, so I was actually already a pilot at the time and had an opportunity to fly with both my parents before this happened. So I was very familiar with aviation and the risks involved.
You were in limbo as a family for a long time because everyone saw what happened, but I'm sure you had, the best thoughts in mind that everyone was going to come out okay. When you got the news, what was that like?
You know, it was a tough day all around. Even though it was 30 years ago, it seems like it just happens, fresh in our memories. But what I would say is, anybody who's lost somebody that they love, they know what it's like. Whether it's a long illness or something that's unexpected, that feeling of loss is the same. Ours was just very public, and we shared it with the nation who was in mourning with us, which I derive a lot of strength from that. And there are great people in our country, and we're lucky to be part of it.
Did your husband ever talk about fear or about what if?
Dick Scobee was a test pilot. He was accustomed to taking risks. Once a reporter asked him that question, "Are you scared?" And he said, "Only when a reporter asked me to talk to them."
So he had a pretty good sense of humor as well.
He did, didn't he?
That's for sure.
So how does a family recover after something like this?
I can answer that question. You have a strong matriarch that takes charge of your family, that's for sure. And that's what my mom did, not only for our family, but for all the families of the crew. And she was really that voice that spoke for us all. And that was nice. It was somebody that we could all look to for guidance into the things that were happening in the future. And all strong families, all great people. But for us, it was definitely my mom that pulled us together.
And then the joy of our deciding that we want the world to know how they lived, not just how they died. We wanted to create something in their memory, a tribute to them, and that's why we created these Challenger Centers all over the country. You have two of them here in Florida, in Tallahassee and Jacksonville. So students celebrate that mission for the Challenger crew every day when they got to fly their own mission, and then they learn about the skills that are important and the concepts that the teachers are accountable for teaching when they go on their own mission at a Challenger Center.
And that's really the next generation. Who knows who we're speaking to, who knows who we're educating or sparking them to go on to things like your husband or your dad did.
Right. Absolutely, Kim, that's true. And one of the great lessons from Challenger was it was the Teacher in Space program. And the whole, our country could learn so much and model so much from what they were doing and how they grew up in education to get to where they were. But it's the space, the technology, the whole science behind it, and the communication skills required to be able to relay that knowledge to everybody else is something that I think is enduring with that mission far beyond anything it was at the time. So.
General, thank you. Ms. Scobee Rogers, thank you. It was a great pleasure talking to
Thanks,
both
Ken.
of you. And not to get too saccharine about it, but I think this is really, look at this family. This is what makes America really a great place to live. And, who knows what the next generation is going to do just half as much as this guy did. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Back to you.
That's good.